Now how did it get there?
Tabo! Do you know that with Efris, you can stay on track of all your business transactions and improve on your record keeping?
How so?
Kati tuliku computer with Efris. I just search using the fiscal document number and I retrieve the records I'm looking for. Bookkeeping becomes simple after that.
Kapo, awesome, yeah.
I began using URS Kakasa Solutions and now I'm in charge of my business. And you can as well.
Kakasa, be sure you are in charge of your business.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda together.
That's my little angel Rose. Together with millions of other children, my daughter Rose is assured of learning something new every day. Moses, my husband, just like many other commercial farmers, has his business supported so he can provide for us. When my other little one was on the way, even with my pregnancy complications, it was a quick, smooth ride to Mulago Specialized Women and Neonatal Hospital. Also, my new baby was able to make it through his first days with the help of specialized equipment thanks to the reliable electricity which has also been extended throughout the country. All this and more has been made possible because of you.
Join us and together let's do more for our country. Get your free tin at www.ura.go.ug.
Thank you for paying your taxes.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda together.
Mugasha, did you see the game last night?
I slept looking for it.
Our viewers, we are live at Nakawa, Uganda Revenue Authority headquarters. We are back with BWIMS, Bonded Warehouse Information System, webinar 101. Today we shall be looking at the key stakeholders and their roles in BWIMS. We are live on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm profoundly honored to be joined by warehousing BWIMS experts, and we have a special guest. Allow me give them like a second to introduce themselves and say hi to our viewers. I will start with my extreme left.
Good morning, our viewers. I'm called Mutoni Mideye from Lexus ICD Namamve.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Jen Angom. I work as the in charge of Liberty ICD.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Regan Basoga. I'm acting manager warehousing, in charge of warehousing customers.
Yeah, thank you, our panelists. We shall be looking at Bonded Warehouse Information System. Our focus is on stakeholders and their roles. Maybe for those that are logging in for the first time, BWIMS is a baby in warehousing, customer department, and we have had several engagements. Manager warehousing, maybe for those that are logging in for the first time, what is the overview or the general picture of Bonded Warehouse Information Management System?
Thank you, moderator. And good morning, our dear listeners and viewers. BWIMS, which is Bonded Warehouse Information Management System, is a system that is coming in to allow for interface between the systems of bonded warehouse operators and other players in the supply chain, from the port up to the final exit of cargo through the cargo, systems of URA. So it is interfacing us in the Ascuda world system and the systems of the bond operators. It's helping us with cargo accountability. We are able to see cargo. Then, before BWIMS, we had issues of importers, we had issues of the bond keepers not knowing what to expect from the port. we had issues of visibility of cargo, where as staff, we are not sure, we didn't have auto knocking off of stocks. We also had issues of redundancies in resources in the bonded warehouses. We don't know who has entered the bonded warehouse. We have trucks that are in bonded warehouses that have no job to do. We have people, loaders, who have nothing to do in the bonded warehouse, but they are in. And a lot of accountability issues in terms of cargo. We had cases of an officer does a verification account, and either the bond keeper, when things go wrong, or the clearing agent, they disown it. Now, BWIMS has come in for uniform acceptability of cargo and cargo monitoring all the way through the supply chain from the port up to the final exit from the bonded warehouse. In that way, we're enhancing accountability. We are having shared responsibility. In that way as well, security. As well, we are enhancing modernization of cargo management and many other benefits. Of course, overall, revenue is guaranteed for URA and also for the bond keeper, a lot of safeguards in there.
Yeah, thank you, Manager Warehousing. You talked about, I want to understand, or the viewers want to understand, that linkage between the port and the bond warehouse. What steps are there? What are there new processes? What is the linkage between the bond? What activities are taking place in between there? Maybe you can give a snapshot.
Okay, thank you, moderator. I am lucky that I'm with people who are fellow trainers in BWIMS, and the BWIMS is not coming as a new system. It is coming in as an interface. As a licensing requirement, we require in warehousing that all bond keepers, people who are managing cargo with pending payment of taxes, they are required to have a stock management system. So these systems have been running. BWIMS comes in to make sure that along the way, as we enhance it further, that if I have cargo in Mombasa, I have a choice. I have a catalog of 184 bonds licensed in this financial year. The choice is mine where I take the cargo. Now, BWIMS along the way the notification comes when an importer chooses my bonded warehouse as a bond keeper. Along the way, the system is going to be enhanced with an acceptance profile or provision, whereby if you choose my bond, maybe Lexus bond, W0454, and I can say yes. If you are one who caused me trouble and I got suspensions and a bonded warehouse, I can choose and say, no, Regan, your team caused me trouble, so BWIMS is coming along the way to even enhance that you just don't view your cargo. You can as well along the way decide and say, I don't want this client, I want this. The border functionalities will happen normally. If there are any diversions, still they will happen as the procedures. Now, the bulk of the work of BWIMS is at arrival, validation of arrival at the gate. And every action that is done at the bonded warehouse, there is a system document, and as well, there is accountability center. So, when the cargo is ready for loading, for verification, if cargo comes in at the gate, there is a document. Then there is a positioning order, which guides the truck that are you going to the yard and we pay taxes immediately you exit, or are you due for verification, you go to the verification bay. If the verification is done, then there is a document, the tally sheet. We do the inspection as it was. We're just improving the inspection process. And then we update that this is what I have seen in the system. The bond operator has an input in our system. Then the officer validates that indeed there are 1,000 cartons. And then the clearing agent who represents the client also does a system function. And that is done. That's one of the best things that I saw with BWIMS that is exciting. Then the process goes on all the way up to the final exit. When goods are exited, I've jumped so many processes. But along the way, when the goods are exited, stock is expected to knock off. That if stock of 1,000 kilograms or 1,000 pieces came in, and I'm only ex-warehousing, whether export or payment of taxes, I'm only ex-warehousing 100, the 900 should stay in the system and should be visible both to the bond keeper and to the commissioner customs, to the officer customs or manager. So there is mutual visibility of cargo in the bonded warehouse. Along the way, to be precise, there are other players like the loaders. Through BWIMS, we are able to choose which loaders load your goods. And that would require that along the way, the people who are involved in the loading business, we need to professionalize, we need to formalize, and make sure that we are now registering companies. And in those companies, if I know there are bonds that have that give tenders to companies. Some that are not yet, it's time to join the queue. The importer or the bond keeper is able to select and say, I am using Regan and Sons company. And in Regan and Sons company, Regan is available, Ayat is available, Angom is available, and they choose. So if any cargo gets lost, you can even have trend analysis and say, whenever Regan verifies among the loaders, cargo gets lost, which is another plus. Then we have a gate pass. They are right now we are at the mercy of the strength of the security systems at the gates of bonded warehouses. I can come with my vehicle in a bonded warehouse, my Primo or my Harrier. I load cargo from your bond. If I connive with your gate man, I get out, and there may be nothing to show. But BWIMS brings in the gate pass. BWIMS requires that I should have a document. Cargo taking out, vehicles taking out cargo should be seen in the system. Vehicles bringing in cargo should be seen in the system. If anything happens, it makes audit trail for both the bond keeper and URA easier with our investigations. But as well, on the positive side, we can know who is our strongest partner even among the transporters. And that is very good for planning purposes. Then the other part which I find very exciting, there are so many exciting things about BWIMS, is the part of entry. Not everybody is supposed to enter bonded warehouse. If I have no business in Lexus bond, I shouldn't just be there loitering and spreading propaganda or plotting how to do something that may not be to the benefit of the bond. If I'm a loader and I don't have business that day, I shouldn't be anywhere seen. So even our parking for the URA staff, if I'm not loading cargo, there is a separate, BWIMS requires that even our vehicles, the bond keepers' vehicles, they should have a special place along the way, so that they don't mix with the cargo and put the security of the cargo of the importers at stake. So limited access. Along the way, we shall find where we are planning, there are proposals to have access cards. I know there are companies like Coca-Cola where you can't access without an access card. So along the way, BWIMS is thinking that way. We are also thinking along, I know some bonded warehouses are ISO certified, the National Standards Organization. Along the way, that's the level. We want to reach a level where we are warehousing cargo using the international standards. And BWIMS is step number one to take us there.
Yeah, thank you, Manager Warehousing. This is an interesting topic today. And I am seeing that URA is now touching base in the bond warehouses, and that is a good gesture. Jen, Teacher Liberty, Manager hinted about some key stakeholders. Now, what are the key stakeholders within BWIMS, and what are their roles? What are we expected of them as URA?
Thank you, Moderator. In BWIMS, there are majorly three stakeholders who are going to be involved in the implementation. We have Uganda Revenue Authority, who is the system developer of BWIMS, and who is in charge of the overall cargo clearance and trade facilitation. Then we have bond operators, bonded warehouse operators, who are also going to work with customs to facilitate the BWIMS system. So because cargo is cleared in the bonded warehouse, like Manager hinted before, cargo comes from the port into customs bonded warehouses. These are licensed warehouses. So these operators are supposed to support customs in clearing and facilitating trade. Now, previously, we've had the bond operators have mainly been focused on cargo security and storing of cargo in the bonded warehouses or in the stores. And customs has mainly been taking up the responsibility of clearing, outstanding, clearing, managing, and accountability of cargo. But now BWIMS is saying, let's all come on board. Let's work together as the bonded warehouse operator and as customs to manage cargo and account for this cargo. And that is what BWIMS is going to do for us. And then the third key stakeholder is the customs clearing agents, who are licensed clearing agents, because they are the ones who facilitate clearance of cargo on behalf of the importer. So these are the key stakeholders that are going to implement BWIMS.
Yeah, thank you, Jane, for that informative discussion. You hinted about on that URA is a developer and BWIMS is a new system. How has URA championed BWIMS awareness and sensitization?
Okay, URA, Uganda Revenue Authority, and the customs in particular, is the one championing the BWIMS project. So one of the roles, one of the things that URA has done, and in particular customs planning, they have created a lot of awareness and sensitization of the key holders, of the key stakeholders on BWIMS. So far, customs planning has trained over 340 licensed customs clearing agents on BWIMS so that they understand what their role is going to be in BWIMS, because as we are aware, clearing agents are going to now participate in joint verification and accepting of VAs. It's no longer going to be done manually like we do it currently. So we have trained so far over 340 customs clearing agents on BWIMS to understand their roles, and these trainings are ongoing because we understand right now we are in the pilot phase and other bonds are supposed to come on board by 1st of October. So the trainings are ongoing for the agents. We have also trained customs staff on BWIMS so that we are on board, all of us together, and we understand what we are expected as customs staff. We have also trained 46 representatives of bond operators who are under the pilot phase, because we have some bonds under the pilot phase and these bond operators have been trained. They are supposed to then go ahead and train their other staff in the bond. And then customs planning also has created a lot of awareness and sensitization. They have done so much. A press release was recently put on the newspapers on what BWIMS is, and so that the general public is aware of what BWIMS is. They've gone ahead and there's weekly communication that is sent on emails to clearing agents, to the key stakeholders that I have mentioned above, on updating on what BWIMS, how far we've gone with BWIMS. And then also when you go to the URA portal, there are daily messages that customs planning keeps updating on BWIMS, so that every day, every new information that we get, it's always put on BWIMS. Then there's also a weekly webinar like we are having on BWIMS every Tuesday. There's a weekly webinar to sensitize the key stakeholders, and I'm encouraging every stakeholder out there to kindly always participate in these webinars because it's very important. And those are some of the awareness creation exercises that we have done so far.
Yeah, thank you for that preamble. It is really, you've got the information. My special guest, Assistant General Manager, Lexus Bond. Bond operators are key stakeholders in bond warehouse information management system. What is your role in BWIMS?
Thank you. Let us start look at the bigger picture of BWIMS, as the abbreviation says that it's a bonded warehouse information management system. As our role as the stakeholders is to help a URA or to help government to be able to control or to have all needed information from the starting point of the assessing WT8 until the cargo leaves our inland warehousing or the depot, to make sure we emphasize the implementation of this system and we build our country together.
You hinted, BWIMS has, as a bond, I know you have incurred some costs. Is that true?
Yes, it is true.
Now, comment on the cost and the impact in preparation for this BWIMS. Is it worth noting?
Yes, it is worth, I may say. For us, before the BWIMS comes, we have, for us, we have the system which is a bit similar to this BWIMS, whereby if we are having a cargo which is coming to our warehouse, maybe they will help us to show some pictures for our warehouse and Lexus ICD. Any loader who's going to work on any client's cargo. For us, we already have that system. So if anything goes wrong with a client's cargo or anything is missing, we know whom to look for. Either the supervisor is there, the name of the person who worked on that cargo, he's there, and even the verification. When we are allocating a truck or a container to be verified, you can see these numbers on the verification, the same as warehouse. If I'm sending you on number 1, you're not supposed to be on number 5. What are you doing at the number 5? By the time these people are done off-roading and everything is done verifying everything, we stack our cargo, as you can see on the pictures. We stack each and everything. By the time they are done verifying and stacking the cargo, that loader does not need to be anywhere around. You have either we are cleaning all over the place in order to look neat, which I'm advising other ICD to do the same. Yeah, all I can say, we are ready for the BWIMS.
From the photos I can see, this is a Lexus bond, one of us here in Kampala. But how have you been able to structure your staff to effectively manage cargo, examine and reconcile? How are you doing this, especially aligning your staff?
Our staff, let me say, everyone is able to know what to do. Like, we trained everyone. After the training of the BWIMS, we had a training with our staff so that each and everyone can be able to use this system and get past the tidy in and tidy out. So everyone is able to use this system. I don't know if I have answered your question properly.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe to remind our viewers, if you have questions, if you have any comment, please note them down. We shall open a Q&A session. We shall answer those questions if they are there. Back to you, manager.
Yes.
I want to understand how BWIMS will support domestic taxes, our counterparts, in revenue collection. We need to work. We don't work in silos. We need to support each other and departments. So how will DREAMS address their challenges in revenue mobilization?
Thank you so much, moderator. That's a very interesting question and very good one. When we look at BWIMS, the whole genesis is in the domestic revenue mobilization strategy. And the ultimate picture is Vision 2040, being the ultimate goal, and of course satisfying the National Development Plan 3. And these are mid-term strategies for the country as Uganda. Now, we cannot fulfill mid-term strategies when we are working in silos as URA, as customs and domestic taxes on departmental grounds. Domestic taxes is going to benefit, BWIMS is going to facilitate domestic taxes in the following ways. When you have cargo accountability, let's start with the gate pass. If we are having vehicles coming, only vehicles coming in to load goods are the ones allowed in the bonded warehouse. It means these are commercial vehicles. So if they are commercial vehicles, they are supposed to be paying income tax annually. So collection of advance income tax on motor vehicles loading cargo in a bonded warehouse is going to be easier. And that means that it is a call now to the bond keepers to be vigilant, to make sure that the commercial vehicles that have come to pay taxes, that have come to pick cargo, and are Ugandan registered, they should present proof that they paid income tax. And if not, then they pay advance income tax. So, and that is under Income Tax Act, and that is domestic taxes. We have been having a challenge. Number two, before I forget it, is one of the facilities under bonded warehouse that is allowable is change of ownership in a bonded warehouse. Now, when there is change of ownership, most cases, okay, number of times, there are transactions that happen where there is purchase of cargo. Regan buys from Ayati. And when there is a purchase, someone is making a profit. So for every purchase of cargo, domestic taxes is able to see, is able to track. BWIMS, if we are able to detect that there is a purchase of cargo, which we can administratively, the bond keeper and URA, then with the precision, we are able to collect income tax on profit made. It's going to help us on IFRIS. Transactions that fully complete the customs process. You have released the transaction and it is exited finally in the fully transmit into the electronic physical receipt. And IFRIS already knocked them off at a customs value that is lower or higher. Then when you export that transaction at the border, is the value still the same? They are the same product. Because for exports, they are zero rated. There is always refunds in terms of VAT when an importer pays VAT at importation, which is output VAT. Some exporters have been benefiting. And BWIMS, as one of the cargo monitoring and tracking mechanisms, we are able to track with ease the cargo quantities and the prices for guiding the VAT returns on exports that were initially cleared fully under the customs process. But as well, we are able to benefit from advanced income tax. But as well, we are able to benefit from income tax on income earned in transactions involving sale of cargo and profits realized in a bonded warehouse, among other benefits.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Regan. Now, I wanted to link domestic taxes with the BWIMS. Will they have access rights? Let's say the manager will have those rights. How are you going to be done?
The rights to access BWIMS, they can be got when indeed, because this is a system for whole of URA, and if, for example, someone is interested, supervisory funds or managerial funds wants to validate a given transaction, why not? If it's going to generate revenue for domestic taxes, and it is good to give us a holistic view of transactions, because we have had cases where I, as Regan, am an importer, I'm an agent, I'm an exporter, I'm whatever, I'm compliant with customs. But when it's time to get a tax clearing certificate from domestic taxes, I have arrears, I have a problem. So, but again, it makes my work easier if I'm a compliant taxpayer, that if people can look me through and through with ease and precision, then it means I am able to have the tax clearing certificate and any other tax requirement as fast as possible and get my business deals, my business transactions fall through and legal processes as fast as possible. So upon how critical a function may be, we are one, domestic taxes and customs and any other URA staff on a needs basis. These rights can be shared.
Yeah, thank you. We are digesting the amount of BWIMS, and we have the expert with it. We in the studio. Q&A is open. I have questions here. I'll be shooting them to my panelists. The first question is from Muhindi Tiberius. Let me shoot this question to manager warehousing. Will BWIMS be implemented in Kenya also?
Wow, Mr. Muhindi. I think that is a very interesting question. And I want to thank you for looking outside the scope of Uganda. Because when we talk about 184 bonded warehouses, it's not only Kampala. We have bonds in Arua, we have bonds in Malaba, Dodge and Dodge, we have bonds in Masaka, Pio Bond, and we have bonds all over the country. So Kampala is just around 177 and thereabout. So you are even scoping it. First and foremost, if the transaction is being captured at the port, already BWIMS starts from the port. It only ends and has serious activity, compressed or more intense activity in the bonded warehouse. So already it has extended to the port. So it is already extended to the port. The question of whether we have cargo in bonded warehouses in Kenya that will operate in the same way, the different countries we operate different modes. Kenya as a country may not be having predominantly warehousing regime as huge as ours. For us, more than 60%, over 70% of our cargo that pays taxes is warehoused. In Kenya, it's different. So they may not, depending on the national priorities of the member states of the East African community, then will such a system be implemented. But I have faith that if BWIMS is fully implemented like we all dream, and we embrace it fully, and we organize our bonded warehouses like we anticipated, and as you will share and guide, then there is no devil in a member country requesting for us to expand the scope and to share knowledge. Indeed, already benchmarks are being done.
Yeah, thank you, Manager of Housing. I have another question to Jane. Someone is asking, Emma is asking, how do I log in to access BWIMS on electronic on a single window?
Thank you, Ayati, moderator. How can we access? How can you log in to access BWIMS on a single window? What is happening is currently there are bonds which are under pilot. Bonded warehouses, Liberty being one of them. Lexus bond, as we have already seen, is under pilot, and I think there are some other carbons. What happens is that you're given rights, you're given user rights, just like you're given user rights for Ascuda to access BWIMS. When your bond finally, where you're supposed to operate from, is under pilot, you will be given rights by the systems team to be able to log in into under single window. There is a browser under single window where you log in with your username and your password. The same way we access Ascuda, it will be as easy as that. And like we are saying, after the pilot, then everyone else is going to be on board soon. So it's as simple as that, having rights
so
and
those
a username.
Are going to get rights, either URA staff, agents, and bond operators.
Yes, the key stakeholders that we mentioned before. Those are the ones going to be given rights.
I have another question from Rita Nasozi to Manager of Housing. Kind of advise if the system supports consolidated cargo groupage. How is BWIMS, is it going to also address cargo or groupage cargo?
Yes, it does. Because all that is important is we are looking at cargo management. BWIMS is not coming to remove customs regimes. No. BWIMS does not come to remove customs regimes. If it is consolidated cargo, at the point of coming in the bonded warehouse, it is one transaction as a T1 emanating from a WT8. So the consolidation, we are seeing it, or deconsolidation, we are seeing it when you are moving from the T1 to the different, when you are breaking now the bulk, to the different IM7s. So the IM7's management in the system of URA is not going to be any different. Neither will the IM4. BWIMS is only helping us to see that the visibility, the transaction in the system of Asikuda versus the physical cargo in the bonded warehouse. So consolidated cargo as is will indeed still be supported.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Reagan. My special guest. In BWIMS, there is no loader rule when there's no work. Whereas on loaders, no work, no loader should be deployed. Now, how are you? Okay, cargo should be restricted to resting areas when there's no work is not assigned. So how are you putting this into practice? Do you have resting places for those loaders?
Thank you. Yes, we do have a place where the loaders should rest from. And if there's no work for them, remember we want our ICD, our warehouse neat. If they're not working, we make sure the warehouse is still clean, because if they were working by off-roading, the warehouse is already dirty. They are done verifying, they are done stacking, so we have to clean the space where they were off-roading from. If cleaning is done, we have a place where they're supposed to rest from, and they are always there. And those loaders are permanent, by the way. We don't,
They're permanent.
Yeah, they're permanent.
So you have a resting place for them?
Yes,
when
we
there's
do
no
have.
Work, they are resting?
They are resting.
Perfect. Now, on the other side of the bond keepers, I have seen these bonds bring on board Senior 4, Senior 3 as bond keepers. And with BWIMS, they're telling us that these bond keepers should be knowledgeable, because now we have the URA on the other side managing the system. You should also match the same skills and knowledge. How are you deploying right people and knowledge people as you prepare for BWIMS?
The people we are having now, let me start from the bond manager. He has been working with the other ICD. This is like 5 years, because for us we started last year. So all the people that we are having in the warehouse, they have experience in warehousing. We cannot get someone who doesn't have any knowledge about a bonded warehouse. What is this person going to do? Even if this person does not have 100% knowledge, we always train them in order to be better and in order now to be able to use this system.
You're bringing in our training. BWIMS is a new system. How are you doing a change management on your side as what? As a bond operator? Because this might be this kind of the system, things like that. So how are you doing a change management?
Yes, there is a challenge, but it's not that big. And I may say that everything is possible. In hand with URA, they have been there supporting us, they have been there helping us, which we really appreciate them. I will start from Mr. Regan, because he's the one who's near me, our in charge. While we are on this training of BWIMS, where we don't understand, we have Regan around, where he can take us through where we don't understand. All the questions the employees are having, all URA who are there working with us, they are always helping us to push or to go through where we don't understand. Yeah,
thank you. Okay. I will kick the ball to Jane. In your submission, there's a document that has come on board called a tariff sheet. And you told us that now the agent would be required to accept the what? The verification, or the verification. Now, how is a tariff sheet related to an inspection act? Who are the parties on that tariff sheet, and who should tariff stock on a tariff sheet?
Okay, thank you, Ayati, for that question. For those who have already attended the BWIMS training and for those yet to attend the BWIMS training, like I indicated before, these trainings are still ongoing. It will be for all bond operators at the end of the day. It will be for all agents at the end of the day. So what is supposed to happen, like manager hinted previously, I'm going to start from when cargo comes into the bonded warehouse on a T1. What is changing now in BWIMS is that T1 is going to come with a gate pass. The gate pass is auto-generated when the border clearance was done. So when it arrives in the bond, the gate pass is supposed to be arrived, and then when it is arrived, and then it is auto-converted by the customs officer. The same system, the same current procedure stays. So when the T1 is auto-converted, a positioning order is then auto-generated in BWIMS. So when the positioning order is auto-converted, there is now supposed to be what we are calling a verification. What BWIMS is now saying is that the system is now going to make sure that we do joint verifications by one, the bond operator representative, the customs officer who is the verification officer, as well as the customs clearing agent. Now, what is supposed to happen is at the positioning order, when the positioning order is auto-generated, the bond keeper now is supposed to position cargo. And this is where the agent comes in. When cargo is positioned, it is the agent who is supposed to support the bond keeper, to tell the bond keeper where we want this cargo is. On behalf of the importer, probably I want to warehouse this cargo for 6 months, or I want to pay taxes immediately. So this cargo is then going to be positioned in BWIMS, but also manually in the bond. That's why we are saying with the BWIMS we need well labeled, well demarcated, like we saw pictures of Lexus. So then in BWIMS it will indicate where this actual cargo is going to be put upon verification. And then the process of verification ensures, I mean, you request for verification, the officer comes to verify the cargo together with the agent, like I mentioned, as well as the bond operator. Something I forgot to mention is when the cargo is positioned by the bond keeper in BWIMS, a tally sheet is then auto-generated. Now, a tally sheet in this case is going to be in BWIMS. What the tally sheet will do, it will pick items from the WT8 declaration. So the WT8 declaration is then picked in terms of the items, the HSC, and so on, and then it is put in a tally sheet in BWIMS. So in terms of verification, the bond operator then is going to input information in the tally sheet. In BWIMS, remember they verify together. So this is what we are going to say, this is what we are calling in BWIMS, we are saying we are stocking in cargo in BWIMS. So the purpose, the role of the bond keeper in this case is to, you verified and you said indeed the agent declared probably 100, the way we do normal verification, 100 cartons of ABC, of soda, or beer, or sugar. So the agent will, the bond keeper is going to input that information, tick it. I beg your pardon. The bond keeper is going to either confirm or not that this is what we found and this is what we did not find. And then they put their remarks. Now this tally sheet in BWIMS then is forwarded when the bond keeper accepts it in BWIMS, that it is confirmed with their few remarks that they put. Probably they found excess of 100 cartons on item number 1. So the tally sheet is going to make it easier for you. Instead of typing the VA and saying 100 cartons by 10 pieces and of women's blouses, we are now going to say we are ticking. Remember, declarations are self-declared by the agent from the WT8. So it is itemized, and so they are just ticking the tally sheet. When they accept the tally sheet, it now goes to the verification officer still in BWIMS. So the verification officer's role in this case is to confirm that what the bond keeper has inputted is actually what was found. But remember, the verification officer has an additional role to describe an item. So there is a point where we are going to, the officer should put remarks that indeed this is what we found, this is the AT number, this is the material, this is ABCDEF, which the bond keeper probably didn't do. So then the verification officer then sends this tally sheet to the agent in BWIMS still. So when the agent receives this tally sheet on BWIMS, they will either accept it or object it or reject it, saying probably this is a mistake. So we are saying this manual process that has been ongoing, we are now doing it on BWIMS. So for purposes of facilitating trade and making sure that we all do this very fast, it is better that we are encouraging that there is a joint verification by those key stakeholders that we mentioned. So when the agent accepts because they have no objection to the tally sheet, then it is sent to the in charge, who then does quality assurance on the VA. And then when they also accept, then the tally sheet, which is now itemized, is auto now updated in Ascuda World. After it has finally been accepted, it now goes to Ascuda World. But in Ascuda World, this VA, it now becomes an itemized VA. But still, we are going to remain with the Inspection Act where we put remarks. The officer and the in charge can now put remarks. For instance, if we had seizure, if we had excess, we can always write those remarks in the Inspection Act, not the itemized. Remember, the itemized on the Ascuda World now came from the tally sheet, which cannot be amended. That is the difference between the tally sheet and the Inspection Act. And then after that, the normal process of rerouting the entry to DPC ensures and continues and commences.
Yeah, thank you, Jane, for that elaborate submission. I have questions here coming in, but before I tackle the Q&A, Manager Warehousing, Has BWIMS impacted on licensing conditions of a bonded warehouse?
Yes. I want to thank you, moderator, for that question. The licensing requirements of bonded warehouses are hugely affected or are envisaged to be affected. And why? Because we are saying, let's not be smart only in the system. Because cargo management, we are not helping ourselves if we only are smart with the smart as Kuda world system from UNCTAD. And on the ground, when I'm looking for something, I have to spend donkey years getting just one carton. So yes, one is we need, it has been on, but now we need to put more emphasis on the web bridge. Availability of web bridge facilities is very important, starting with weight. A lot of queries and whatevers have been coming in, and a lot of queries have been coming in from clients and all over on weight disappearing, weight being what. So web bridge facilities are very key for us. Number two is the coding and demarcation, like managed operations Lexus was sharing. Demarcation, when you saw the pictures of Lexus Bond, they have demarcated their bonded warehouse. All their stores are demarcated. You know that this is section A, section for spare parts, used spare parts that drip oil should not be mixed with biscuits, which you and I are going to eat. So separation, demarcation, which is indeed a requirement. We have requirements on the system requirements. Yes, they will come in. We as another requirement would be the self-audit. We are requiring that every bonded warehouse shares with us their stock. Before BWIMS comes in, we are requiring that let them share their stock. Now, the other requirements of licensing a bonded warehouse will stay. I'm just highlighting on a few that maybe may need more emphasis. And of course, we shall, the Assistant Commissioner Field Services or Commissioner Customs is going to give an elaborate one. And where we have left out, we shall still be inclusive of them. But very key is the stock management in the system, on the ground, in the bonded warehouse. We want to see the coding. We want to see the separations. We are putting a lot of emphasis on want of entry section. We want to see cargo movement. We want to see along the way along the way we shall be requiring that empty containers leave the bonded warehouse. That means that being an ICD function, we are seeing that maybe when we look at the module for transit, that's when we shall look at it. But the licensing requirements have been affected, and we shall, to that accord, share a very detailed communique.
I have a question going to the manager. Is BWIMS recognized by EC committee since Uganda is a member?
Is BWIMS recognized by ESC committee? Maybe if I could know which committee, along the way I would request the participant would maybe substantiate which committee. But we are operating still, these are under initiatives, it is even facilitating single customs. We are still in the process of trade facilitation. When you look at BWIMS cannot be looked and caged in one box. It is a brainchild of the Commissioner General URA, and it is ratifiable. Under the World Trade Organization, to which all member countries of East African Community attest, the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement of 2018 guides is all about trade facilitation. So it is an initiative that is even going to simplify single customs territory and clearance of cargo under the East African Community. So by the time it was agreed, we may not say that it has formally been included, but it is a trade facilitation facility for warehousing of cargo.
Thank you, Regan. My special guest, someone is asking, how safe is cargo in Lexus? And what is Lexus doing different from other bonds?
Thank you for the question. I'll go back to the picture. The cargo is 100% safe. We are having a security system, and we are having different people who are monitoring those cameras. If you can put the picture of the warehouse, you'll be seeing each corner, either the verification or the warehouse. There's a camera all over. We have, by the way, since we started, I go back to the question the person asked. Since we started, we have never had any question or any problem with our clients that they missed a single box. So our cargo, or the clients who are bringing cargo in our warehouse, it's 100% safe, because there's a camera everywhere. If a client, maybe the cargo was missed from where they were loading from the China or wherever he got the cargo from, if this person is not sure about his cargo, we have footage. We can always get footage of his cargo from the time we started off-roading, the verification and the stacking until the cargo leaves our warehouse or our bonded warehouse.
Yeah, thank you. One of our panelists said about that in BWIMS you have to assign every consignment and every verification officer. On assessing your readiness, are you ready? Do you have enough manpower to assign an officer on every consignment?
Yes, we do have enough manpower, and we are ready to assign a URA. You said to assign a URA, or to assign an officer
from your bond,
on our side. Yes, we do have enough manpower. From the verification, we are having 4 verification officers, and from the warehouse we are having 8, which we are having, each door has an officer whom we call a bond supervisor or bond manager.
So if I press 8 consignment for verification, do you have enough manpower to handle those 8 consignments?
100% we do have.
Okay. Jane, someone is asking, how is the offense management handled, the seized goods under BWIMS? Are we capturing a CW7? Are we doing amendment?
Thank you, moderator. What we need to understand is that the current processes as is of management of offences, as also talked about by management of consolidated cargo, all that stays as is. What is changing is that we are now having a new system where we are doing work together. So offense management in this case is when cargo is seized. Maybe there's after reconciliation, an offense is found, the cargo then is seized, and the seizure notice number is given, and assessment is given. Still, it will be compounded the same way outside of BWIMS. All that will change is now the information is going to be in a tally sheet, which still goes to Askuda World, which is still the inside information. So the assessment is done, and then it's compounded, and then the excess cargo or the undeclared cargo is still deposited in customs warehouse, and the information still inputted in the remarks of the Inspection Act, like I had mentioned previously. So it stays as it is.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. We have about 80 minutes, but before we wind up, I have 1 or 2 questions to manager warehousing. What happens to cargo that selects yellow, blue, or green? And by October, are you going to enroll all the bond warehouses, all the 184 bonds, or it is in a phased manner?
Okay. Thank you so much. First of all, you moderator, you will agree with me and the fellow panelists that we are late for BWIMS implementation, BWIMS even enrolling. Because we've been sharing this since our hope was that by some months ago, we had anticipated January, then May, and now August. We thought by now everyone should be on board. But these are systems and a lot of issues. You had to do testing. So we expect, our hope and prayer, that by next month, 1st October, everybody will be on BWIMS. And we delayed the implementation of this so that everybody is on board. URA did not feel it important that everybody does the enrolling. So we did it on purpose so that our stakeholders can prepare themselves and be ready so that we move together, as is the spirit of Uganda Revenue Authority. Now, the other question, because you asked me one question in two in one. Yeah. One was cargo that is in yellow lane, that is for doc check, only document check in DPC, then blue lane and green lane. As is right now, all cargo that comes in a bonded warehouse, a tally sheet has to be developed. And the bond keeper or their representative is required to fill in the tally sheet, no matter the selectivity. The only difference is if transaction has been on blue lane or green lane, the system auto-releases it. Yellow lane, DPC just does the whatevers and then they release. The goods that are not being verified, we shall not prompt them, the system will not prompt them to require input of the customs officer. But in case an offense is detected, like in charge Liberty Jane was sharing, in case we detect an offense, the offense management process goes on and we update the Inspection Act with the details of the offense and the portion of the law contravened, and the offense management goes on. So those that we are not verifying, still the bond owner, yes, updates the tally sheet and says, yes, I saw there are 100 bags of HDPE and ticks. So that now our stock visibility and movement is handled all the way, because all those transactions, we exit them as bonded warehouses. So that at exit, we have stock in the system that knocks itself off. So the difference is in the input of the officer versus the tally sheet.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Reagan. I have 5 minutes. My special guest, I will give you 1 minute. When we are rolling BWIMS, we're supposed to have a pre-stock BWIMS. We're supposed to do a comprehensive report on the stock we have in your bond to separate from that of BWIMS stock. How have you done that? Have you already done that? And how?
We have already done it. We are having 2 warehouses where we have already separated the old stock that we are having now, and where we will be putting the new stock, which is going to start with BWIMS.
Thank you. We are almost coming to the end of this webinar. I thank the viewers for logging in. I'm going to give you each a minute to give your closing remarks, your parting shots. I start with General Manager, Lexus Bond.
I would like to thank the viewers, and I would like to thank the moderators and Regan and Jacqueline as well. I thank URA who are helping us, who have been here helping us. They have been there for us since we started. They have been where we need to adjust, or anytime they are visiting us, they will always tell us, you have to do this, you have to change this. Where we are now as Lexus, it's because of URA, and we really thank them. And to be read about the BWIMS, we are 100% ready. As you have seen on the pictures, everything is in order.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, that is testimony that they are ready for BWIMS. That's encouraging. Jen?
Okay, thank you, moderator, and thank you, viewers, for taking your time off to listen to this webinar. My parting shots is that I encourage all key stakeholders, like we mentioned before, the bond operators, the clearing agents, and staff. Let's take advantage of the sensitization and awareness exercises that Customs Planning is putting up. There are webinars every Tuesday. Let's get more knowledge on BWIMS. The faster we come on board, the faster we will implement BWIMS. I thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jane, for those closing remarks. Manager, as you wind up, as you give your parting shot, there's a question that just come in, that will BWIMS be able to integrate in the bond warehouse systems? Then how will we manage the empty containers? As you give your closing remarks.
I'll start with the last one. The empty containers are not supposed to we shall need to create a special space for empty containers. And the other question was, is BWIMS interfacing with their systems? BWIMS is a brainchild of URA sitting together with stakeholders. Lexus Bond was among. We began with, I think, 6. We went Lexus, Liberty, there were around 6, even Dodge and Dodge. So it's a system that it is your child. It is a merger between the two. So it's a system half-cast, if I can say. So the answer is yes. The parting shot, I want to thank the senior management of URA for BWIMS, because they are the main sponsors of BWIMS. They have trusted us and with a vision. Number 2, I want to thank our stakeholders. I want to thank you, Madam Mimi, the General Manager Operations of Lexus Bond, and stakeholders for always participating. BWIMS is because you have supported it and because of your knowledge. Most of these documents, you have them. So we are just standardizing them. I want to thank you, moderator, for being a very good moderator and for coordinating this very well, and our backroom team. Our final one is to encourage BWIMS is going to be a selling point to prove that you are compliant and you're up to the task. We are looking towards ISO certification. So we are thinking that in that direction, and the earlier we adopt BWIMS, the better. Finally, that we prepare ourselves in the bonded warehouses physically. Let's do the demarcations. Let's complete the calibrations of the web bridges. Let's do the stack cards. Let us do the stacking and the shelvings. With that, I want to thank you for the viewership, and I wish you the best as we enroll, as we look forward to enrolling in October. Thank you.
Thank you, my panelists. It is exactly 11 a.m. as we promised our viewers. We are always on time, and we are good time managers. I thank the viewers for sparing their time, data, and viewership, and I wish them a good day, and we thank you for paying your taxes and dropping Uganda together. Thank you, and good day.
Acquiring a tin is now easier than ever before with a new interface that is brief, simple, and cuts out all the excess fields from previous applications. All you need is your national ID or driver's license or passports and internet access, and you're good to go. No more waiting in long queues, as you can now acquire a tin instantly from wherever you are. Remember, it's free. Experience our new and improved modern interface that is user-friendly.
Thank you for paying your taxes.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
In chess, the small one can become the big one. It's the same here. And here too. Watch every move. Record every number so you can plan better. No matter the size of your dream, tomorrow's success belongs to those who keep today's records clean. File your returns today.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Kapo, you seem to be in a hurry. Where are you going to?
I'm gonna pay URA a visit.
Why would anyone visit URA? Of all places?
To know more about the Kakasa business solutions, namely digital tracking solution, the voluntary disclosure program, and electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, which have turned my business around. You know I need to be on top of my game to protect my empire. If you know, you know.
I too need to know what Kapo knows.
Kakasa, be sure you are in charge of your business. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Wait, Abu, tunamaliriza. And what are you doing throwing papers all over the place?
I'm looking for an invoice for a sound system and cables that I received yesterday, but I can't find it.
You know there is a way of keeping all this in one place and available to you as and when you need it.